Well, that was an ending.
Again, now we have new stuff to theorize. Like, again, when is Zack eventually just gonna meet up with the gang eventually?
All right. So in order to experience some of the new content that this game has to offer, we first have to go back to the main story and open chapter 17.
Okay.
Which I'm going to do right now.
Yes, because believe it or not, folks, there is new story content in the main campaign due to this. It's okay.
Well, technically, the Vice battle does have an opening cutscene and an ending cutscene when you beat him. But yeah, it's mostly just Vice being super evil and vague. And
the when you actually beat him, it's more of a cute references to his actual fight in the Cerberus than anything.
Yeah.
Which again does make me wonder. I could see Sephiroth actually trying to align with these guys because, let's be honest...
Maybe I counter that, Jova. Well, not necessarily counter. It might be not like what you said, Jova. But I'm not sure Vice and the other want to cooperate with him.
Well, think about it like this, deal. They'll probably see Sephiroth as a necessary means to an end, plan to betray him.
If you remember, Vice deliberately decided to, being part of a program of having his data extracted for creating a VR simulation, and there he is.
What do you make of your new form, Vice?
It sucks.
We've replicated everything about you, from thought patterns to stress responses.
Yeah, Vice is very digital, let's just say.
Indeed, I'd venture to say you're stronger now than you've ever been.
Stronger than I've ever been. A big claim, little man.
Ah, now I have 2 swords.
Who do I kill?
Given that this is merely a training exercise...
How about Chadley is completely unfazed by having a sword pointing at his fucking eyes?
It's just a hologram.
Be sure to choose my victims wisely.
I wish you having fun.
What could
So
possibly
Vice is
go wrong?
officially not appearing in this game.
Well, don't you see, Tio? Technically, you fight his...
Well, I was more referencing to the fact that Luigi doesn't
you
get to fight him.
You can fight him here, but it's in hard mode. And,
it would mean my life if anyone knew I was conducting this research. Hojo's madness is
he's much like the hardest bosses in base game.
The two different Pride and Joy prototypes.
You can only beat Vice twice in hard mode.
I think you get... Do you get cutscenes for that one, or is that just like
yes,
some...
yeah, we just mentioned.
We just mentioned we only get one of basically Vice talking about how big his dick is, basically.
Hi, Cloud.
Oh,
My
great.
dick's bigger than yours.
Oh, great.
That's kind of basically it, yeah.
Oh, great. Another white to gray-haired dickhead ignoring me.
At least I have a dick.
You seem to attract them all, don't you, Cloud?
Seriously. What's next?
I mean, the motorcycle dude that was just, ash blonde.
Honestly, Sephiroth and Vice make Roche seem completely friendly by comparison. And I mean
At least
friendly
Roche
in a
is
good,
honest.
non-predatory way.
Oh, no. I'd say Sephiroth is honest.
No, Sephiroth lies to everyone, even himself, let's be honest.
Oh, that'd be a good thing.
Sephiroth is the kind of partner that gaslights you and then blames you for everything.
Again, here's my theory though to you. If Vice were to align with Sephiroth, he'd probably plan to betray Sephiroth, only to then have that plan totally backfire when Sephiroth reveals he knew all along.
But my point, Jove, is that I cannot see the two cooperating 100%, decently, and having, Vice probably attempting that and being stabbed as a result.
Ah, maybe the original Sephiroth, but one thing to consider is that it's pretty much confirmed that this is a different Sephiroth. One who apparently has learned from his failures and
but
whatnot.
there is someone I can fight, Leviathan. But you can only choose 3 people in VR missions. Who am I going to get rid of? Yep, sorry, Aerith.
you to ready your portable battle simulator.
Fuck you too, then.
Look, Aerith, it's for your safety.
Always that.
Hey, I'm just as capable as you are, asshole.
Yes, I know you are. But all the same, you're the healer. You're our most valued member of the group.
I shouldn't I be there feeling you though?
It's too dangerous.
Too dangerous. I'm just as old
That
as you
doesn't
are.
make sense.
Look, in Soldier, they taught us that you always keep the healer back unless you absolutely need them.
Yeah, but in Soldier, they also tell you that. Yeah, wait, never mind. Soldier's a bunch of duties anyway.
You know, I did read them, so I can't disagree with you.
So why are you listening to what they tell you then? That's
Because
like being angry at Shinra, but you still quote their protocol.
Because I did legit learn some good tactics off of them.
So Pedro, what's the strategy against Leviathan in our mode?
Leviathan? Nothing particularly much. Leviathan. Okay. First of all, bring out some good. Use the absorption. Use the elemental material to absorb water, and it should be relatively fine. It's mostly when you're fighting Bahamut in hard mode with Yuffie and so on that's a big problem. Like when you're doing the final battle, the final optional boss battle of Yuffie and Sonon, it's okay. Like the first battle against Bahamut is by far the hardest.
There we go.
Time to fall, asshole.
But I don't have an asshole.
Pretty sure he does. Still a sea snake.
You know, it's a shame you actually aren't real. Otherwise, you can make for some very good meat to chop up.
The hardest boss of Final Fantasy VII Remake in its current state is Vice.
Okay. There we go.
Simple as that.
Most basically because Vice literally has instant kill moves. Basically.
There, beat the patron deity of Wutai.
You can cleanse the world of the Shinra Scourge.
And then it turns out Shinra was listening into Chadley's speeches the whole time, and they're like, Chadley, what was that you were saying about the Shinra Scourge?
Oh, that was nothing. It was merely a ploy to distract these enemies of Shinra who happened to break in.
Yeah, right.
Chadley is the ultimate master rules,
and your way
man.
of doing that, and your way of doing that was to help them.
I had to
Computer,
very
activate
convince them.
Activate Chadley's self-destruct sequence.
Oh, I'm
Else
sorry,
we'll
I
never see him
actually-
in the next game.
I'm sorry, but I actually disabled that in between games.
Anyway, alright, so final thoughts, I suppose?
Is it alright if I go first?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, everything in everything in Intergrade is pretty much the same as the other game, except you could do a bit more, and the load times are shorter, and it's in a consistent 60 FPS. Those, in my opinion, are the biggest reasons to get the game, because maybe the loading times. I mean, the loading times weren't bad in the original version, but now they're practically non-existent here. So if I want to get on down to the gameplay, which is the best part of the game in my opinion, then go right out and get this version if you're lucky enough to have a PS5.
It helps especially when you're trying to fight Vice, because that way you don't have to sit for a loading time every time you restart.
And as for episode submission, it's a short and sweet story, and I think it's a better introduction to Yuffie than the original game was, because in the original game she was just this little brat who keeps stealing your stuff. In this game, there's a bit more to her than that. Yeah, she still likes to take things, but she's a lot more likable here.
Again, Sonon is the key to it. She has a straight man to her funny man this time.
Yeah, Sonon is the key to everything.
Granted,
Which is
Cloud
the
was
same
the
one
straight
I've
man
seen.
to her funny man in the original too.
Yeah, so it's not like we're not going to have any straight men for Yuffie to bounce off of.
I
when
wonder
we
if
get
Cloud.
to it.
I wonder if Cloud will remind her of Sonon and traumatize her.
No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Terra's Fury is what's gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, at most, Cloud will probably just do it by mistake or something. I don't think he's that kind of arsehole.
That's why he
Oh,
didn't
well-
kill her, because he realized that he could prolong torture.
Well, Dwibs, obviously Cloud wouldn't do it on purpose. He'd probably do it without knowing just by acting serious enough. Which, knowing
well,
Hey, Yuffie, by the way, I heard of this amazing ninja called Sonar. Do not mention that name!
Well, Shiroi, why get rid of a possible bargaining chip?
bargaining chip, he's dead! I don't think you can really bargain that much with a dead body, dude.
I don't know, Jova. Depends. Depends.
Maybe to deny Yuffie the a somewhat decent method of closure by not letting her bury his body or scatter the ashes.
I do
Something
wonder
like
if that would be enough to
that
try and
body-
get a bargain out of her, given how stubborn she can be.
All right,
Most-
Yuffie, give us the materia back, or I will play your friend's dead body like you were a puppet.
Yeah, I can totally see in the future Yuffie fighting Nero, and Nero uses Sonon to manipulate it, to
Traumatize her.
yeah, I can totally see that happening actually.
All right,
the
you're
be-
done,
the-
Dwibs?
Yeah, well, it depends on how well they do it. I mean, me personally, I do have a bit of an issue with what TV tropes would call a trauma button, but we'll see how they handle it if they go that way at all. But yeah, that's about it. All my thoughts on the previous game are exactly the same here, except it runs better and you get more stuff to do. And that's it.
All right, Shiroi?
Alright, yeah, that was good for what it was. Nice bit of story, better introduction for the character. Didn't expect to see cutscenes with the main cast. That was nice. I guess they kind of thought, well, that ending was pretty grim. Let's end it on something a bit more positive.
Yeah.
Because that was a bit grim. Like,
I guess it's helped by the fact that pretty much everyone and their mother was calling that Sonon was gonna be toast.
yep, we can't have nice things. So.
Well, at least he can be with his sister now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they had a whole scene about that. So.
It's just like how Aerith got to be with her boyfriend when she died. And his advent children confirmed. But now they may both be alive thanks to the remake, so happy endings!
Unless one or both of them die
Again.
later. But anyway, no, that was pretty good for what it was. So I don't know how long we're gonna have to wait till episode 2, or if there'll be any more in between stuff. I don't know. Yeah, and that's it.
Pedro?
No, that was pretty great. Like I said, my highlight to me is Sonon, because I really liked his Joel style arc where he wasn't able to save his sister. But now he's at the end he's going to save Yuffie no matter what, even if it costs him his life. It's his own personal redemption. I mean, and yes, no, he has nothing technically to redeem himself, but to him he does. Like, so this is something that will give him peace. So yeah, and so I actually really dig those kinds of arcs. So I'm personally really keen on Sonon in particular. And like I said, Sonon is incredibly important, making Yuffie incredibly charming and funny here because he's a really great straight man to bounce off of her. The gameplay is overall excellent, and all the new mini games are really cool. So yeah, everything seems pretty much on top, and the character writing by Nojima in this remake is still on point. So looking forward to see what's next.
Java?
Honestly, I think it's a pretty good intermission thingamabob here. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, I do feel that the whole Nero and Vice thing could have been introduced better, which has unfortunately been a bit of an issue with this remake/sequel thing. Has not always been newcomer friendly. I do wonder how they're going to implement stuff in. Hopefully they'll do it well. I do hope that's not the last we see of Nero and Wise, though. Or again, maybe this ties back into my theory that the 7 remake is just going to be essentially one big whole redo of the 7 compilation. Which could mean that we won't see these guys again until we get to the remake's version of Dirge of Cerberus. How funny that would be. Music's good as usual. It's nice how they beefing up Yuffie's character here and there. She's good and all. Totally called that Sonon was going to die, so yeah, later, man. Scarlet. It was nice that Scarlet got more of an enhanced role here. It helps solidify her as one of the main big bads that we will need to take down eventually. So kudos in that regard. Gameplay seems on point. I mean, if it's anything like the remake plus with that synergy thing, yeah, it could add some new, good, interesting additions. So yeah. Still am very confused as to what exactly they're doing with Zack, so there's that, and I get it, maybe they're supposed to ease us in with that. I do hope that this isn't just one of those things where they constantly keep stringing us along until, like, the last part of the remake, like, again, Square. I know you like to seem all mystical and cool and stuff, but you need to explain stuff, otherwise, yeah, your story might get called out for that, which a lot of your stories have gotten called out for. Overall, though, it's a good addition to the 7 remake, and it is still BS that this is not available on the PS4. So, yeah, again, I'm still holding out for that complete version of the 7 remake. Good stuff. Next.
Alright, I'll conclude. This is pretty serviceable for what it wants to do. You know, it's a good way for them to tinker a bit with the gameplay. You know, as for a Yuffie story, center story, it's pretty fine. I would say that it's a bit like Sonon gets the screen time that he needs for having his backstory, like in months towards the end. You know, so it creates a sort of a Walking Dead effect where his telegraph death is becoming more and more apparent. And so it is literally a walking target. But like I said, it's all about the execution. Is that the execution is still interesting because it's not just as simple as say, "Oh, he dies." You know, there's the possibility of him showing up in the future, like I said, as a new Sviet, or even as just a puppet of Nero. You know, we'll have to see how that pans out. The whole sister backstory thing, okay, it's fine for what it is. But they could have used something else, and I wouldn't have, lost my sleep over it. It's nice to see more of the Wu-Tai War, since it's a case of where surprisingly enough, the compilation that didn't show that much on it. You think before Crisis Core would show something about it, but that's not really much. Crisis Core literally has its tutorial, not the tutorial level, but its first level being the literal end. Zack goes for one corridor, finds 2 bosses, and then Sephiroth kills Ifrit. The end.
Yep.
So it's nice to see a bit more and to not have the obvious idea that it was Sephiroth who killed Sonon's sister. At the very least, there is that. Fighting Scarlet is a very nice welcome surprise. I really like that. The Sviet being awakened before time is an interesting idea, but with each of us said, we'll have to see how this pans out for future parts. And like I was mentioning in the previous part, and to answer Shira's question, again, and also Dwibs to an extent, I get the idea that first we're going to get Origins, Stranger of Paradise, because that seems to be the one with a more set release date. Then I do believe we're probably going to get Final Fantasy 16, because from the updates that the OCP is giving, they seem to be already in a good spot, and we just need to apply the polish work when it comes to the actual gameplay. Supposedly, they already have finished recording all the lines of dialogue, which let that tell you what you want on that regard. And probably at that point, part 2. That is to say, if Nomura doesn't want to juggle between one Kingdom Hearts game and one part of the 7 remake, then again, Well, okay, the Warren's video is being released now, technically, so there's that
Yeah,
too.
true.
But
Yeah.
it also
I
don't
wonder.
forget that part 2 is now as the new director, Naoki. Oh,
Amaguchi.
yeah, Naoki Yamaguchi. You know, so Nomura is probably still gonna be involved, but in a lesser capacity. So we'll have to see what him, Toriyama, and Kitase wants to cook up next. Oh my god, it's like.
Oh
we'll have to see.
boy, all the
We'll-
usual
I'll
suspects.
still reiterate what I said at the end of the vanilla game. I still want to see where this is going, even with this, with the extra thing that this has set up. This has all the ingredients to be still interesting. It still has to be a complete disaster. I'm not even gonna, deny that's a possibility. But I want to still have, a cautious optimism and see where they can actually go with this. It's just a matter of time at the end. So I guess we'll see you eventually for part 2.
All right.
Yeah.
See you then.
See ya.